Hey everybody, I wanted to share something with you tonight in high detail. Something that you probably heard me talk about before, which is the painting in St. Joseph Cathedral regarding God the Father and the pyramid that he has, or the triangle, whatever you want to call it, on top of his head. And so these types of things are extremely important in Qabalah because just like the beetle in ancient Egypt, just like we saw that the scarab beetle is related to the human skull, and then we can see this kind of thing across culture. These types of things are important because when we take a look at the geometry, being able to relate that to the human condition is extremely important in understanding. Otherwise, it's just a bunch of fun math and geometry. Until we apply it and understand how it works in the human condition, then or understand or really be able to apply it to real life and kind of give us an understanding of what's actually happening, then it's just a bunch of math. It's just a bunch of geometry. So I wanted to show you in this particular one just how much can be embedded inside this art if you know what you're looking for. To the average person, they will completely miss all of this. They'll just say, oh, what a pretty picture. To the person who kind of knows it, they'll miss a lot of it. And I'm still learning. And I'm going to show you a bunch of stuff in this thing. I'm going to show you a high detailed overlay. And I'm going to show you the geometry behind all of it. You see there's a red disc there and a white ring around it. And we'll go into that as well. You see the placement of the pyramid on this disc. And you see how the bottom two corners kind of stick out pretty far. But the top corner right here, if we zoom in, this area right here, and this little line comes up here, he's taking in, the guy who drafted this is taking into account the casing stems, right? So it goes up to this point, this little bar that you see right here. So I'm just a tad over it, but not that much. Probably about a pixel or two. So here's what I wanted to show you. So here's our image right here, and you notice it has the white ring around it also. Notice how the corners are kind of sticking out and everything. And we're going to take a look at a quick fade, and then we're going to look at the detail and show you why he's done it the way he has, or she, whoever did this. So if we just take a look at this thing and we fade it out, and even if we take a look at the air shafts, you see how the angle of this air shaft right here and the angle of this one? Okay, so we're going to go over some of the stuff that this guy's hidden in this. So in order to see the geometry inside of this, what we need to do is we need to turn this on and turn this off. And when we fade this guy out, you'll see the geometry that we're going to take a look at. So as you can see, we're using Metatron's cube again because it's my opinion that this is exactly what this guy used. And based on the stuff that we're seeing in alchemy and the stuff that I showed you not too long ago from these various guys, a lot of these guys were using Metatron's cube because Metatron's cube allows us to see the tree of life in a different way. It actually allows us to see kind of the way it happens from the worlds, from the larger to the smaller. And it's all kind of encompassed in one neat design. So the reason I have these particular pieces of the geometry highlighted is because one of the things that I've been trying to do is determine how the pyramid is supposed to be placed on Metatron's cube. And because St. Joseph Cathedral actually gives us the way that it's supposed to be placed on there, it makes it a lot easier. The problem is that I couldn't find any geometry inside Metatron's cube that would be in harmony with the angles of the pyramid, until I took Metatron's cube and I duped it and then scaled it by 50%. So what you're looking at is a smaller Metatron's cube inside of a larger one. And this is exactly what I needed to do, because the disc that you see here and the disc that you see here, if you lay a line on top of that, you're actually looking at the same angle of the pyramid. So let me show you. So if I zoom in, you'll see that the inside of the pyramid lays on top of this disc, and it lays on top of this disc. And that's significant, because doing that, it brings us all the way up to the very top, which is what Kether is called. This is where everything is at the very, very top of the pyramid. And it brings us all the way up into where the part that you see that still sticks above it is the part where the casing stones are, because that's always going to happen regardless, because it's symbolizing something disappearing into the next world. Okay? But as you can see on both sides, the pyramid lays on top of these discs, and all of the geometry in here is just perfect. If we take the St. Joseph Cathedral, and what I'll do is and this will kind of give you an idea, a little hint or a preview of kind of what we're going to be looking at, because we're going to start looking at the human body and its geometry as well. So if you kind of look at the way his head is in here, and the pieces of the geometry that cover the globe of the skull that you see right here is basically this area. And so that brings us now to the white ring. And this is interesting, and I suspected this, but I wanted to take a look anyway. So let's go ahead and what we'll do is we will turn this off. And we'll turn that on again. And so as you can see, the white ring has a certain thickness about it. And so the reason that is because what he's trying to show is the Trinity, because the Trinity is outside of the world. Now the way you do that is, let's take him off real quick. So here's Metatron's cube, and do you see there's a circle? This white circle is what connects all the points of the outer circles that you see right here through their midpoints. But if you notice, there's also a hexagon that connects each one of the points as well. And so what actually happens is if you draw a circle on the inside of the hexagon, what you're doing is you are showing the Trinity. And if you notice that area between the red and the white that you see right here, it's a triangle. And the size of that triangle is basically the same as what you would call a cosmic tetractys. And the cosmic tetractys you can read more about on Stephen Phillips' site right here. And this is Stephen Phillips' site, and I'll leave a link for you in the description area. But if you notice, you have 13 dots. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Notice the outer 3 are white. And notice what you really have going on is you have 1, 2, 3, 4. and then you have it repeated 3 times, and then 2 times, and then 1 time. And this is each one of these is a tree of life, and you have 10 of those. So the way the cosmic tetractys works is you have the tree of life, but then you have a tree of life for each one. And so what is actually being depicted inside of this art that you see here is a cosmic tetractys, and I'll show it to you real quick, because the white ring is actually meant, whoops, and here it is right here. And if you notice, the top triangle, the one I have highlighted in this white area right here, is on the outer ring, because what it's showing is when you look at stuff like this in the tetractys, this type of way, what you're really doing is you're kind of looking at from a top-down view. Kind of like the thing I was showing you with the beetle. That's kind of looking at it top down, where you're seeing the top of somebody's skull. Well, this is the same thing. You're looking at it top down. And so when you look at the tree of life, you have a triangle this way that shows 3 Sephiroth, and then you have another triangle the opposite direction, and that shows the bottom 3 Sephiroth, and in between all that you have the sun, the earth, and all this kind of stuff. So, but here it is, and if you take a look at St. Joseph Cathedral, you can see the white ring he has is roughly just what we're looking at. As well. So embedded in this, he's showing us human geometry, the pyramid and its angles. Let's take a look at the pyramid again. The air shafts, the cosmic tetractys, and gosh, what else? I mean, he's showing us inside the actual head of the person, the pineal gland, and according to Manly Hall and many others, the head actually has its own septenary, and in the head, the pineal gland plays the role of the sun. And you'll see that also in my video called The Real Sun. But anyways, I just wanted to show you this real quick and show you the level of detail that you see. I mean, you can see that what this artist has done with the stained glass and the air shafts and the white ring and the tetractys, all this kind of stuff embedded in this one painting. So, anyways, you guys have a great weekend, and I'll talk to you soon.